reached out and asked if you had read the indictment. You said you read it word for word, page for page, right?
I did. I keep up. I love Jackson.
Even though they've not been in court and they've not been found guilty, it's just an indictment at this point.
They don't see it. My first statement was, think about your family. Think about your family. Put your family first.
I never thought in a million years we would have been put in the situation that we were in. Never. Because we went through our whole career doing the right thing.
It's utterly ridiculous to me. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I'm Othor Cain. Glad to have you aboard on this Thursday evening. Man, I can't tell if the weather is just bipolar. I just cannot tell what's going on. You're outside and it's one way, you're inside it's another way. I just cannot tell. But at any rate, thank you for being with us. You see this orange and blue representing Callaway today. Thank you for being with us tonight. Glad to have you here. You have absolutely no idea how glad I am to engage with you on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Absolutely appreciate it. Count it a blessing, count it a joy. And so I am glad that you are here. Listen, I want to do a programming note next week. We got to talk to some young lawmakers in the Capitol, at the state Capitol. We're going to talk about how they maneuver at the state Capitol and how they are not hard pressed to follow the status quo, how they listen and pay attention to the details and how they move. And they're being very effective. And we're excited to have a conversation with them on next week. We've also booked Congressman Benny Thompson to talk about how he's navigating all of these things that are happening in Washington, D.C. So we got him. If it's not next week, it's the week after that. So we are excited about the shows to come. I actually also talked to Bradford Blackman, and most of you know about a bill that's floating around in the Capitol. Conception begins at erection. You've heard about that bill. I think the bill is absolutely brilliant. You have to meet people where they are to garner their attention, right? Sometimes you got to meet them where they are to garner their attention. So we've got an interview with him coming up. We're working to get a date on the books for that. But listen, I'm glad you're here. I appreciate your support. Now more than ever before, we need your support. Hey, Wanda, I see you there. How you doing, man? Now more than ever before, we need your support. Now more than ever before. So make sure you scan that QR code, or make sure you're donating to the Cash App page, and that's Othor Cain. So now more than ever before, we need your support so that we can continue to bring you independent journalism, so that we can continue to tell stories that matter, so that we can continue to tell stories that are important, so that we can continue to really getting to the heart of real issues that's happening across the metro, across the state. There's the Cash App information, so please feel free to share there. Now more than ever, I need you. So please, thank you for doing that. We got lots to talk about tonight. And I thought that I would start out kind of working my way through the foolishness of Donald Trump. I'm going to come back to the foolishness of Representative Earl Banks in tonight's conversation, and the foolishness of Representative Chris Bell. We'll talk about that. But I kind of want to start this conversation tonight and try to work our way through the foolishness of Donald Trump. And it's just so much, and it's so much every single day, right? It's so much, and it's so much every single day. And if we're not careful, we could lose our minds because it's so much, and it's so much every single day. So let me first say this to you. Let me first say this to you. I honestly do think that you've got to protect your peace, right? I think you got to protect your peace. You know, your mind has got to stay strong. You can get caught up because every day it's something, and there's a lot every day. There's 50 million things every day, so you can lose your mind. So you gotta keep your peace. You gotta protect your peace. And maybe you don't try to keep up with every single thing that happens. Maybe you find one or two things that you're really concerned about, you're really passionate about, and you hone in on that. You focus on that. Maybe you don't try to consume it all. Me, I'm a news junkie, so I primarily watch nothing but news. I'm a news junkie, so I can take it. But there are those who probably need to do it in small doses, right? There are those who probably need to do it in small doses and don't try to consume all of the things, right? Don't try to consume all of the things. Also tonight, while it just popped in my brain, also tonight, excuse me, we're going to talk about this crowded mayor's race. We got to talk about this crowded mayor's race. Deadline to sign up is tomorrow at 5 p.m. So we'll talk about that before we get out of here tonight. But let's move to some of the foolishness with Donald Trump that happened today. So in this period of mourning, after such a tragic loss in our nation's capital, with the plane and the helicopter colliding midair, right? I think the plane was trying to land coming from Kansas, and I think that the helicopter was on a training mission, right? So I think the plane, maybe American Airlines plane, was coming in trying to land from Kansas, and I think that the helicopter was on a training mission. And so, and they collided midair. And it is expected that there are no survivors. And so maybe, ironically, 67 people are presumed dead. They have not pulled or recovered all of the bodies out of the Potomac, but I think maybe 20 something so far, but it is presumed that they're all dead, that there are no survivors, and that's so unfortunate and so tragic, so unfortunate, and so incredibly tragic. And so the nerve of this guy to attempt to shift the focus. Let me tell you the sign of a very incompetent person, and that's Donald Trump. But there are a lot of Donald Trumps out there. There's some black Donald Trumps amongst us, right? There are a lot of Donald Trumps, a lot of incompetent people out there. But let me tell you the tall tale signs of incompetent people. They are masterful at shifting the conversation. Sometimes I say they pivot to another conversation. But they are masterful at shifting your attention, shifting the conversation. So on today, a day of national mourning, right? This idiot manages to shift the conversation and lay blame on Biden, Obama, on DEI. I don't understand the ignorance of it. No, that's not true. I do understand the ignorance of it. it's just hard to digest. It's hard to consume, right? It's so hard to consume that this man would take this opportunity to shift cylinders of foolishness. Absolutely. We really need to lift that hashtag up, Barbara. We really need to start lifting that hashtag up again these next 4 years. Hashtag cylinders of foolishness, because that's exactly what it is. This man would take this national day of mourning and attempt to lay blame. Now, mind you, he had no facts, right? No investigation, nothing. He had nothing, no facts, nothing, no grounds, nothing to stand on. He had absolutely nothing. And this idiot, this certifiable idiot, shifted the conversation to uplift his policy of rolling back DEI initiatives. Now, let me help you understand something. And I hope most of you already understand this. But before I go on and continue the conversation about what he did, let me just drop this in your spirit. Can we talk about what DEI really is? Can we do that for a quick second? Let's talk about what DEI really is: diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's talk about what it really is. DEI is not, was not, has never been about hiring incompetent, unqualified Black people. It's never been about that. It has never been about that. So don't get caught up in the ignorance of the conversations that's happening out there, right? Don't get caught up with that, right? Don't get caught up with that. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, has never been about hiring incompetent, unqualified, unskilled Black people. It has never been about that. What it has always been about is that it was put in place to ensure that competent, qualified, educated, skilled Black people would not be overlooked for their incompetent, unqualified white counterparts. That's DEI. DEI was never designed to hire unqualified, unskilled, uneducated Black people. Quite the opposite, my friends. DEI has always been to ensure that qualified, educated, competent Black people would not be overlooked, because our skin has always been a weapon to some. Right? Our skin has always been a weapon for some. And so that's DEI. What about hiring unqualified? And so for that ignorant orange man today to talk about this tragedy as a result of DEI hires, that's the most ignorant, asinine thing I've ever read, ever heard. Right? And you see the headline there: Trump was challenged after blaming DEI for the DC plane crash. Right? Crazy. 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 And I know all of you know, and or at least you've heard this. Haven't you heard? And like my mother used to always say it to me, so I know I grew up understanding this, right? Which is why education was so important. I grew up understanding this because my mother would always say, you got to make sure all of your I's are dotted and all of your T's are crossed. You've got to be twice as good as your white counterpart. My mom would always say that to me. You got to make sure all your I's are dotted, all your T's are crossed. You've got to be twice as good as your white counterpart to be noticed, to be recognized. And so DEI was never about hiring unqualified, unskilled, uneducated Black people. Quite the opposite, my friend. It was about ensuring that we're not overlooked because of the color of our skin, that qualified, educated, competent Black people were not overlooked because of the color of our skin, right? Because our skin color has always been considered a weapon. Our skin color has always been considered a weapon. So don't get it twisted when that orange man says that. And so that's why you have to take him in dosages, right? And so when he says that the DC plane crash was because of DEI hires, and all day long, federal aviation officials have been saying that it takes skilled, qualified, doubly trained folk to do that. And to especially do it at that Washington Reagan Airport, one of the busiest runways in the nation, right? One of the busiest runways in the nation. But this idiot, get this. Let me pull this for you. Let me get this. Get this. I want to give you a timeline, and I know my producer is going to kill me because I did not get her this this graphic today to show you, and I wanted to, but I didn't get it to her today. But let me share this with you. Let's talk about DEI hires. And this will give you an opportunity to connect the dots. Well, the DEI hires were fired by this guy. January the 20th, the FAA director was fired. January the 21st, the air traffic controller, there was a hiring freeze. That position was vacant. I think he named somebody in today's press conference. January the 22nd, the Aviation Safety Advisory Committee was disbanded. This is Trump's doing. January the 20th, the FAA director was fired. January the 21st, there was a hiring freeze for the position of air traffic controller, right? Look at that. He guts key aviation safety committee, fires heads of TSA and Coast Guard. So the 20th, the FAA director was fired. The 21st, the air traffic controller hiring was frozen. January the 22nd, the Aviation Safety Advisory Committee was disbanded. January the 28th, they sent out a memo to buy out federal employees, demand sent to existing employees that will buy you out. And then lo and behold, hey Lisa, thank you for being here, dear. And then lo and behold, sadly, on January the 29th, the first American mid-air collision happened. And one hadn't happened in 16 years. And so let's be very clear, Mr. President. This is all under your watch. You have this blood stain in your hand. My God, my boy Barney agrees with me this time. I feel as if I have arrived. Thank you, Barney. Hey man, you really can't argue facts though, right? You really can't argue facts. But be clear. Be very clear, man. Be very, very, very clear. Let's be very, very, very clear. This is on Trump's watch. We've not had a collision like this in 16 years. There's so many measures in place, but this idiot disbands, disrupts all of this. You know, Brenner, we know that you are just a Trump supporter, and that's good. But don't let being a supporter of Trump overcloud your intelligence. At least be able to think on your feet for yourself. Because I will show you the difference between a Trump tweet and an Obama tweet. So it matters not how fast information flows. This idiot is speaking things that A, are not factual, B, he has no documentation to back it up. He's just making baseless claims. I'm aware of that FAA report that said that air traffic control was not properly staffed, that one person may have been doing the job of two people. That's alarming, that's concerning. But guess what? When you fire people, when you disband a department, when you freeze hiring, this is what you get. So whether the information flows to the White House at a snail's pace or if it is rapid, this is what you get. This is what you get. Trump has to own this. He can't deflect. He can't deflect. He can't deflect. And might I go through that timeline again, sir? Because it's okay to support him, but by God, don't let your loyalty become blind and it overshadows an opportunity to think for yourself and to think reasonably. So might I go through this timeline again for you, sir? January the 20th, the FAA, there you go, there it is right there. Thank you, Dr. J. January the 20th, the FAA director was fired. January the 21st, there was a hiring freeze for air traffic controller, January the 21st. And didn't they say that there was only one person working in air traffic control when this happened? That one person was doing the job of two? And when did the mid-air collision happen, sir? After January the 21st. He did this. Trump did this. January the 22nd, the Aviation Safety Advisory Committee was disbanded. January the 29th is when the incident happened. He put a hiring freeze on air traffic controllers. He fired the FAA director. He disbanded the Aviation Safety Advisory Board all a few days before this incident happened. So you talk to me about information flowing fast to the White House? Give me a break. Give me a break. All right, and so let's compare the social media text messages between Donald Trump and Barack Obama. So the day that it happened, the Orange Man gets on social media that night, and this is what he says. The airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It is a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? This is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented, not good. That's from the President of the United States, and it sounds like it's from a third grader. This was the night of January 29th, the night of the incident. That sounded like or read like a third grader, probably pre-K or kindergarten, really. All right, now let's take a look, if you have it, Dr. J, Obama's tweet or social media piece. Yeah, I can't see it from there. Anyway, it's a stark difference between what the orange idiot tweeted or posted on social media versus what Obama posted. Let me see if I can find that piece really quickly. See if I got that. No, I don't have them. Wait, I think I can find it though. Hang on one tight. I want to pull this for you. So y'all hang tight 1 second. All right. This is former President Obama. Our hearts break for the families who lost loved ones in the tragic plane and helicopter crash at DCA. Michelle and I send our prayers and condolences to everyone who is mourning today. And we're grateful to the first responders who are doing everything they can to help under extremely difficult circumstances. See a difference? Hear a difference? See a difference? Hear a difference? When you're in this stage, or when we're in the middle of a national tragedy, you expect a president to unite this country. You expect a president to solace with his words, even when they don't have all the information that they need, when all the facts have not presented, because clearly none. Trump had zero facts today. Zero facts today. But you expect the man in the highest office of the United States to act presidential and to try to bring the country together. Not this idiot. He is still in a place of division and being extremely, extremely divisive. Robert says, Othor, I've been saying this for years now. Donald John vocabulary is that of a third grader. Just listen to him and tell me I'm lying. Oh, brother, you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. And this is a good post by Lisa. Lisa says, those jobs are hard to fill because of the stringent requirements. Almost 80% of all pilots, mechanic, and air traffic controllers are white men. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. But the orange man wants to say that it is because of DEI hires. How dare you shift the conversation in the middle of a national tragedy? How dare you shift the conversation? That's absurd, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. That's absolutely absurd. Come on, man. And so let me say this to you. We've got to stay vigilant, right? We've got to stay vigilant. Everybody can't consume all of the information, and I get it. Bite off what you can handle, right? Bite off what you can chew. Bite off what you can handle. Don't stress yourself out. Don't be overloaded, right? Bite off what you can handle. But we've got to act. we've got to do. We've got to raise our voices, man. We've got to raise our voices. We've got to raise our voices. So that's the Orange Man story for today. You know, that one was a bomber today, man. That was a bomber today. I was trying to extend grace to this guy. You know, I was trying to extend some grace to him. Okay, I just got a news text from CBS. Let's see what they're saying. Pamela, hey Pam. Pamela Jr. says, "How dare he make a statement like that? I'm truly appalled." We are absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. All right. So a headline that just came over CBS says that experts ask why Black Hawk helicopter may have been flying above allowed altitude before the crash. The military Black Hawk helicopter that crashed into a passenger plane near Reagan National Airport Wednesday appears to have been flying above the permitted altitude. Publicly available flight data analyzed by CBS News shows this. This data point is one of several key mysteries investigators are exploring as they seek to explain what caused the nation's worst disaster in more than a decade, aviation experts said. That's the $64 million question that needs to be answered, according to Greg Feith, a former senior air safety investigator with the National Transportation Safety Board, in an interview with CBS. The permitted flight ceiling on the Potomac River near Reagan National Airport is 200 feet, a crucial ceiling for keeping the heavy flow of military helicopters safely clear of the steady commercial aircraft traffic into and out of the nation's capital. So that's another angle that they are looking at. Anyway, correct, Barney. Absolutely correct. He spoke prematurely when he should have let the House press. Well, he spoke prematurely. Yes, I don't think the press secretary would have done any better. I just think it's premature to say anything until you have facts in hand. And she would have had the facts because at the time of the press conference, they hadn't gotten any results of any of the investigation. Like they didn't even have the FAA reports of one person being in the air traffic control area. They hadn't got any of that, right? Things are just now coming in. These things take time. And here's what I know for sure. When you don't know, it's okay to say you don't know. But when you start fumbling and making up stuff, it becomes worse. It is, as a PR professional, it is absolutely okay to say, we don't have all the information. I don't have this information in front of me. I can't answer that. I am awaiting results of the investigation. And when that information becomes available to me, I will share it with you as it becomes available to me. You don't have to give an answer to what you don't know. I tell clients that all the time. You don't have to give an answer to something that you don't know. People have more respect for you when you say, I don't know. I don't have that information in front of me. And when that information becomes available, I'll be sure to let you know. No questions asked. But when you begin to make crap up, you're opening yourself up for scrutiny and all of these questions. Just shut up. You don't have to answer. You don't have to answer every question that a media person throws at you. You don't. You don't have to answer every question that a media person throws at you. And especially those outlets that are becoming tabloid outlets by the minute. aka WLBT, right? You don't have to answer that crap. You don't have to respond to it, man. You don't. You don't. But that's all. That's about all of the Donald Trump conversation that I can stomach during our allotted time tonight. That's about all of it that I can stomach. Because I was out of wine, I had to make a cocktail tonight. I was out of wine. I got to replenish tomorrow, right? I have to make me a gin cocktail. But let me say this to you. So first of all, Brenner, let me tell you what I would do. I don't know what my first. No, I'll say this. I wouldn't ask any questions until I am briefed on the situation. And once I am briefed on the situation, okay, so Barney's comment just caused me great pause. He should have did like the last president and just talked about ice cream. I ain't going there with you. Not in the middle of this tragedy. I'm not going there with you. Let me go back to Brenner's post. Barney, you crazy, man. So first of all, there will be no questions coming from me until I was briefed, right? I would have to be briefed on the situation fully. So I don't know what my first question would have been. But what I do know, I would not shift the blame. No matter how I personally feel, I would not shift the blame. I keep telling y'all, I tell the kids in my class at church, I tell the kids in my C100 group at Tougaloo College, and they're not kids, they're adults, so I gotta stop saying kids. But I tell young people all the time. And here lately, I've been telling a lot of adults too, and I'm gonna say it again tonight. You never have to defend the truth. And I think maybe we're just so programmed to lies, and lies have become so routine, and lies have become so comfortable that lies feel like the truth. We've let our guard down. We've stooped to such a low level that lies seemingly feel like the truth. Folk, let me say something. You never have to defend the truth. You only defend lies. You watch how much backpedaling this orange monster is going to have to do based on the things that he said today. You just watch how much backpedaling. But he's such a narcissist. He may not even backpedal. He may just deflect and go on to the next hot button item, right? He's such a narcissist. He may just go on to the next hot button issue, hot button topic, and never apologize and never backtrack, you know. I'll say it again, and then we'll move, because I do want to talk about the mayor's thing real quickly. I'll say it again, and then we'll move. The truth does not need defending. You only have to defend a lie, right? You only have to defend a lie. And lies spread like wildfire. Talking about moving at a swift pace. That's how a lie travels. Lightning speed. That's how a lie travels. Right? So you don't have to defend the truth. You only have to defend a lie. And it takes will to resist. It takes will to resist. It does. And I had to practice that a little bit last night, right? I had to practice that a little bit um, last night. I did. I did. I had to practice that a little bit last night because I wanted to jump on here last night, you know. All right, but anyway, I want to get to this marriage thing. I'm gonna look at Barney's thing, and then I'm gonna move. I'm sure who is to blame. I'm sure who is to blame, but there has been a few close calls when it comes to air traffic control. Even when Trump plane was landing, there was miscommunication, but people made a joke of it. And you may be right. I mean, I can't even respond to that because I don't know what you're talking about. You may be absolutely right, brother. You may be absolutely right. But the way my brain is set up, I'm focusing on the here and the now. I do know that Donald Trump disrupted this office. Oh, you're not sure who's to blame. All right, gotcha. Man, we gotta help you with your typing skills. So I'm with you. I'm not sure who's to blame, but there has been a few close calls when it comes to air traffic control. Even when Trump plane was landing, there was miscommunication, but people made a joke of it. I get you. Okay, I get that now. I get that. I get that. I don't know who's to blame in this scenario. The jury is still out. The investigation is not complete. Here's what I would tell you. I have some theories. I have some thoughts. But what good is it to express my theory and thoughts right now when the investigation is incomplete? But I will say this, even though I just said that, I will say this. I wonder how this orange man is going to handle it when he finds out, or if he finds out, if and when he finds out who was on the helicopter, who was in the helicopter. I can't stand Barney. Hey man, you bring great humor here. Don't post this. Don't even post that up there, man. Don't do it. Barney said he was hired under DEI. He can't type. That was good. And that was timing, bro. That was good. And that was timing. But I'm gonna say this and move on. I'm tired of talking about Trump, but I'm gonna say this and move. I wonder how he's going to react when he finds out who was on that helicopter. You're the commander in chief. These are people that you swore to protect, but you're clowning them. You're clowning them. These are people that you swore. You took the oath of office. You swore to protect them, to stand up for them. You're the commander in chief. Really, you're the convict in chief, but out of respect of the office, you're the commander in chief. The convict is, more appropriate, right? That's that. Let's get to the mayor's race real quick. Tomorrow is the deadline. 5 o'clock tomorrow. 5 p.m. tomorrow is the deadline. 5 p.m. tomorrow is the deadline to qualify to run in the municipal election. Right? Felon 47 instead of President 47. I'm with you. 5 o'clock tomorrow is the deadline. There are so many people in the race, and I'm so ready to break down and have information to share on each one of them, y'all, because let me tell you something. April, right? Let's see. This is January, February, March, April. April is when the primaries will be held. And then June, the general election. And then July, they take office. So this is January, February, March. So 2 to 3 months. We'll know the fate of this city in 2 to 3 months. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. is the qualifying deadline. Right? Yeah, I just see that headline, but I don't know what it says. Hinds County supervisor joins the ranks of those running for Jackson mayor. Are you kidding me? I can't even. I wonder if that's former. Lord, now you got, so that headline is a little misleading. And that's WLBT, but that headline is a little misleading. Let me see if I can find that. That's a little misleading. WLBT is becoming like tabloid journalism. I can't find. So former. So that is so interesting. That is so interesting. That headline that you just put up there, I didn't see former, but now I see former. Now I see former when I went to look for it. So that's David Archie. David Archie qualified to run for mayor. David Archie qualified to run for mayor. He signed up yesterday or today. Uh, uh, Wade, Kim Wade signed up today to run for mayor. Y'all, it's just too many. It's just there are absolutely too many people running. And guess what? I'm gonna say this, and y'all may look at me like I am crazy, but I am going to say it because this is how I feel and this is what I believe. I am excited. I never thought I would say this, but I am excited that Lumumba is gonna run. I'm excited. I can't wait until tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and his name is on that list. I never thought that I will be saying that I am excited he's going to be in the race. Let's go back to Barney's. Yes. So if he runs, would he have to disclose the money he got from the feds asking for a friend? And you are my friend, so I'm going to answer that. And so he has not submitted a campaign finance report. And in order to qualify, you've got to get your campaign finance report together. So he would have to get that paperwork together and in. And I am certain, if he's smart, he has somebody doing that for him. So he would have to talk about all the money he received in the name of his campaign. He would have to. He would have to. But let me say this to y'all quickly. There are too many people running for mayor. Way too many. And you're gonna X a lot of people out. I also think that a lot of y'all candidates, being y'all, a lot of y'all are working under these crazy strategies. I mean, they're crazy to me. They may make sense to you, but they're crazy to me. But I think a lot of these strategies are going to backfire on a lot of these candidates. Way too many people running. Right? Way too many people running. Right, Greg, you're right. He hasn't filed since 2021. And a lot of candidates wait late. I don't know if anybody is like, 4 or 5 years late. I don't know that. But that's not out of the norm, right? It's not out of the norm that a candidate is late filing. It's not out of the norm. I don't know if I know of anyone that waits that long. But filing late is not abnormal at all. I know people got, they just find anything to cling to and say, oh, and pretend like they're so shocked and say, oh my God. But that's not abnormal at all. Not in the least. Not in the least. But I'm hopeful that at 5 o'clock I see Lumumba's name. You're right, William. It dilutes the vote. It really does. It dilutes the vote. It dilutes it. You're absolutely right. And speaking of strategy, I just think that we've got to be smarter than we are when it comes to these offices. I just think that we've got to be smarter. than we are now and how we position ourselves. Far too many people running for mayor, far too many. And what kind of ego must you have to think that out of all of these people, you're the one? What kind of ego must you have? Right? What kind of ego must you have? And then for me, you look at the candidates, look at all the candidates, and you ask yourself, what have you done for the city of Jackson prior to running for mayor? What have you done? What have you been doing? What have you been doing all of this time? Like, how many names on there you've never heard of them? William, I'll answer that, and that's a good question, and I think it's strategy, and a part of me thinks it's good strategy, but I also think he's going to be in trouble in June. I really believe that. I think he's one of the ones that I'm talking about. That strategy is going to backfire. So, black folk, listen up. Well, everybody listen, but black folk in particular, listen to me as I answer William's question. William's question is, why is Foote running as an independent when he's a Republican? That's a great question. And as best as I can, here's my answer. In Mississippi, we have open primaries. Okay? In Mississippi, we have open primaries, which means that I can vote Republican. I can vote in the Republican primary, or I can vote in the Democratic primary. It doesn't matter. True confession. When that crazy man, and I can't think of his name right now, it'll hit me. Y'all will know who I'm talking about. But when that crazy man was running for United States Senator against Thad Cochran, he was a crazy man. I think he may still be a state senator here, but I cannot remember his name. But when the crazy man was running against Thad Cochran, there was this push for Democrats to vote in the Republican primary to prevent this crazy guy from winning, because he was on Thad Cochran. He was on him, right? And the race was close. And so there was this big push to get Democrats to vote in the Republican primary. And I remember walking in the precinct, and where I would normally go to the left and vote democratically, I walked in, Chris McDaniels, thank you. I walked in, thank you, David, Chris McDaniels. So where I walked into the polling place, and where I would normally go to the left and vote democratically, I swiftly went to the right, hoping that the ladies at the table would not see me and or acknowledge me. Well, wrong. I walk in swiftly, turn my back, go to the right, and one of the girls said, "Othor, you're supposed to be over here. You're supposed to be voting over here." I was like, "Shut up! I'm going to vote Republican this time," to make sure Chris McDaniels didn't get it. And I did. So in Mississippi, we have an open primary. Foote has said publicly, he said, make no mistake about it, I'm a Republican, but I'm running as an independent. And you want to know why? Because black folk, listen to me, because he wants to give the white Northeast Jackson Republicans the ease of voting in the Democratic primary. Why do you say the ease, Othor? Because they don't have to, because if he was running as a Republican in Ward 1, they would have a choice. Either do I vote in the Republican primary to ensure Foote gets back in there, or do I vote for the Democratic mayor? Because in most cases, for the last few years, the race for mayor has been decided in the primary. So I hope you're following this strategy. So in the last several years, whoever won in the Democratic primary went on to become the mayor. So the race has been decided in the primary, in the Democratic primary for mayor. The race has been decided there, right? For the last, I don't know how many elections. So I hope you're following this strategy. Foote decided that I don't want to give the white Northeast Jackson citizens an opportunity to struggle. Foote thinks he's going to be good. He's going to be okay. So all I got to do is sit out until June, right? Pauline, one of my favorites. It's good to see you, ma'am. I swear I owe you a call. It's so good to see you. We need to connect. And so Foote's strategy is, I'm going to sit out until June. I'm going to hold out until June. I'm good. I'm going to hold out until June. I'm good. And I'm not going to give you, I'm going to make your voting in April in the primaries. I'm going to make that as easy for you as possible. I'm going to remove myself so there won't even be a Republican primary in Ward 1. And so all of you Northeast Jackson white folk, y'all go on and vote for mayor. And I can tell you who I think that they're planning to vote for, but that's the subject of another day, because we got to talk about every single candidate that's running and is, all right? And so that's his strategy. Although I think that there's a possibility it could backfire on Foote, because I know of a couple of good Democrats that are running in Ward 1, but there's also a white female running as an independent in Ward 1 as well. Her last name is Green, and I don't know her, but I've been hearing a lot of things about her, and I've been seeing her movement and her signage. She seems credible. She seems like a formidable candidate. I don't think it's going to be as easy for Foote in June as he thinks. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. This strategy may backfire, but that's the strategy, to get these Northeast Jackson white Republicans, because single-handedly it's not enough of them to decide mayor. Not enough. I want to put up Marcus's post so we can analyze this for a little bit, because I think this is good. Out of 95,000 City of Jackson registered voters, and I thought it was more than that, only 18 to 20,000 have been voting in the last local election. So in the last general election, Lumumba had 11 to 12,000 votes. The last general election, I don't remember the primary, but the last general election, he only had like 11, 12,000 votes. If the 80% African Americans recognize the power of their vote in this city, those strategies won't even matter. The moral of this story: 75,000 of y'all gotta vote. Black folk gotta show up. Because here's what, and Marcus, you're spot on. That is right. Marcus, that you're spot on. That's right. Let me tell you something. We all know it's not enough white Republicans to decide who the mayor will be in Jackson. It's not enough white people, period, in Jackson to decide single-handedly. Absolutely, Greg. Absolutely. We gotta get this town hall done. Absolutely, brother. And we're gonna do it. We need to connect soon and really start putting it together. I better not say that now, but we'll talk offline. So we know there are not enough white folk in the city of Jackson to decide mayor. Here's what I also feel and understand. Even when you zoom in and you focus on a more targeted space than just overall city. But if you zoom in to Ward 1, if you zoom in to Ward 1 in Jackson, there are a lot of black folk in Ward 1. A lot of black folk. There are a lot of black folk in Ward 1. So Ward 1 is a part of District 1 on the county level, right? There are a lot of more black folk there. So we don't have a so honestly, wow, as I'm sitting here talking through this, honestly, Ashby Foote is the last and only white representation that we have in Ward 1. Because at the county level, District 1, black. At the county level, election commissioner, District 1, black. Ashby Foote is the last lone white person standing on that side of town, because the demographics in Ward 1 has changed dramatically. Part of the problem, though, is, and this is another piece of educational material, part of the problem is there are a lot of them that still vote in the neighborhoods that they moved from. And that's what we've got to change. I can't tell you how many years I've been saying, you move from Ward 3 to Ward 1. Kenneth Stokes don't need your help in Ward 3. You don't have to go back over there in Ward 3 and vote, because he don't need your help. And I love Kenneth Stokes. This is not bashing him before some of y'all misinterpret that. God, good God. This is not bashing him. I absolutely love Kenneth Stokes. Hell, I wish he would have put his hat in the ring for mayor. I would have been on the front lines for Kenneth Stokes. But listen, you move from Ward 3 into Ward 1, right? You've progressed a little bit. You upwardly mobile, right? Black, you listening to me? You don't need to go back to your old neighborhood and vote. You need to change your voting precinct when you move. And so black folk, we always have a double fight. We got to ask for your vote. We've got to educate you about voting. We got to get you registered to vote. We got to do all of these things while we're campaigning. And sometimes it can become too much. Just too much, man, too much, right? So change your precinct when you move. Because if you're in Ward 1, and if you came from Ward 5 or Ward 6 or wherever you moved from, they don't need your help over there. Your help is needed here. But anyway, that's that. And so black folk have to do all these things to get people out. And so I think now more than ever, I'm telling you, Quinn, you got to be a whole teacher. You have to do all of these things. You have to ask for the vote. You got to educate them to vote. You got to get them registered, and you got to get them there. You got to do all of these things. We don't have the luxury of just asking for your vote, right? We don't have the luxury of just asking for your vote. But I'm gonna tell you something. We got to get black folk to the polls this time around like never before in Jackson. We can't afford Black sis stuff. So we can't afford to just have 18, 20,000 people voting in the primary, because less than that show back up for the general. We gotta get out and vote, man. We gotta get this thing right this time. We gotta get it right this time. We gotta get it right. And a part of that is on the candidates too. Candidates have got to fire people up, and that's on the candidate. Candidate's got, and it's partly on. It's on us as citizens. Yes, part of it is us. But a large part of it is the candidate. You got to excite. You got to ask. Your ground game has got to be good. And so I could go through some of these candidates and say, I know you ain't got no ground game. I know you scared to go in Ward 3, Ward 4, or Ward 5 and ask, for somebody's vote. You're too busy hanging out in Northeast Jackson, and hanging out with the elite. And that's the only space you're going to hover in to campaign. And I can tell you, that's not going to get you elected. You may get their money, it's not going to get you elected. It's not going to get you elected at all. Anyway, God, it's 9:06. And I got to get out of here. And I didn't even get to talk about Earl Banks, but we'll pick it up. Y'all, I'm following up because I really do want to know, what do they do with that money from the MLK breakfast? What is the purpose of the MLK breakfast? What do they do with it? And if it's just to cover the price of eggs, bacon, and grits, that's fine. Couldn't he have just said that? But I want to explore that. But even more than that, I want to explore his record at the county. I mean, at the Capitol. I want to explore his voting record at the Capitol, right? What has he done? How many years has he been there? What kind of bills has he passed? What kind of respect does he have at the Capitol? What's his influence? What kind of bills has he passed? What has he done for his district? What has he done for his district? What has he done? What kind of bills has he passed? What kind of influence does he have? We got to talk about it. Greg, I'm sick of Me Too. I'm sick of Me Too. We got to, excuse me, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about that for real, man. It is time to pull back the layers. We got to stop accepting being mediocre. We got to stop that. They're about to get it, Greg, for sure. For sure. We got to stop accepting mediocrity, right? We got to stop accepting that. We deserve better than that. We got to stop accepting just name recognition. We got to stop that, man. We got to stop. We got to stop voting just because of a name. We got to stop voting because of popularity. What have these people done? How many years has this man been at the Capitol? What do you hear of him doing? What kind of bills has he passed? What kind of influence does he have in his community? Except for buying a chicken plate, paying into the church's building fund, donating to the pastor's anniversary. What kind of changes has he advocated for his district? Right? What kind of changes has he advocated for his district? What kind of impact is he having at the Capitol? Except for being a whining black man, and every issue is black and white. Those days are gone. Those days are over. But we've got to wake up and do our part. But he's not the only one. He's not the only one. He's not the only one. Results, not rhetoric. And Brenner, I think you asked if that Quentin, I think that's his name, if he could win in Ward 7. I think his chance is as good as anybody else's. I think Ward 7 is a microcosm of this state in that it has every socioeconomic background, every gender affiliation and identity background. I think Ward 7 has all of that. And so I think Ward 7 is a microcosm of this state. And so I think that Quentin guy, I think his chances are just as good as anybody else's. So yeah, and just because he's part of the LGBTQ community, I think I think Ward 7 can handle that. I think Ward 7 would support that. I don't think Ward 7 would run away from that. Ward 7 is a microcosm of this state. And so I don't think they will shy away because he is a part of the LGBTQ community. I don't think, in fact, that might even strengthen his chances of winning. And I'll say this, especially to black people. I'll say this, especially to black people. I promise I'm getting out of here. I'll say this. We need to be more concerned. We need to be more concerned about what happens in a boardroom than we are about what happens in somebody's bedroom. Right? Kenaway, you're so stupid. You're so stupid, man. You're so stupid. But listen, seriously, we've got to be more concerned about what happens in the boardroom and all these meetings. We need to be more concerned about what happens in the boardroom and less concerned about what happens in a person's bedroom, man. Who cares? Who cares? Except for those of you with no life. Outside of that, who cares? Who cares? All right, y'all. Thanks for rocking with me. I got to get out of here. It's 9:15. I'm excited about our shows next week. Very excited. So y'all stick around, stick and stay. Please donate to us. We are very appreciative. Please donate to us. The Cash App information is scrolling across your screen, and she just posted it. Please share. Please donate. Please support. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate all of you. Ken and Wayne, I ain't fooling with you, man, at all. I ain't fooling with you at all, man. That's our broadcast tonight from all of us here at the Othor Cain Show. Have a good night.